following is a paid advertisement program provided by Premier Investments and Wealth Management. An airing of the program is not to be considered an endorsement or recommendation. The opinions expressed are those of the hosts, guests, and callers, and not necessarily of this station or iHeartMedia. Securities and advisory services offered through LPL Financial, a registered investment advisor, member FINRA SIPC. The information in the following program should not be construed as an offer to sell and is not intended to replace the advice of a qualified tax advisor or legal counsel.
Hello there, friend. Welcome back to another edition of Premier Investments and Wealth Management Financial Program. My name is Doug Wagner, your host. I'll introduce the two folks who are in studio with me today in a matter of moments. First, I'd love for you to, if you're watching this or listening, let's just bring up another window on your browser and go to premieriwm.com. When you're there, click Get Started. Do you know if you're ready for retirement? Well, you deserve to know whether you're ready for retirement, and Premier Investments and Wealth Management is ready to help you. Answer just a few questions. They'll provide for you a one-page financial plan. They call it the Premier Vision document, so you can get a better handle of whether you're ready for retirement. It doesn't matter whether you're 35, 45, 55, premieriwm.com. Click Get Started, answer those questions, get your Premier Vision document, and a free, no-obligation appointment with them. They'll even hand off that one-page Premier Vision document to you so that you can take action on it. I encourage you to go to premieriwm.com or call 800-383-6590. Premier Investments and Wealth Management, a Forbes 2025 Best in State Wealth Management team. From that team, Vice President Wealth Advisor and the new sheriff in town, Elias Randall, is with us. Elias, is this something, do you just become the sheriff in town instead of the new sheriff in town?
I don't know, maybe. I was appointed the new sheriff in town by you and Roger. Okay. So whenever you guys decide I'm not new anymore, then I'll just be the sheriff, I guess.
We'll figure that out. We'll have a meeting and figure that out. Speaking of Roger
you guys let me know.
He's here. Look at this. He is an accredited investment fiduciary with over 21 years of experience in the financial services industry. President and Wealth Advisor, Premier Investments and Wealth Management. Not only that, he's a dad, he's a husband, he's a fisherman as well, an angler, and he's the big kahuna. That's what all the fish in the sea know him as. It's the big kahuna getting ready to catch me. It's Roger Abel. Are we ready to just call him the sheriff in town instead of the new sheriff in town yet, or no?
No, let's season him a little bit longer.
That's great.
Make him kick his spurs a little bit more.
No, it's always better. It's always better to be new.
Yeah.
Because then you can use, I'm new as an excuse for as long as people think you're new.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's ever going to wear off. So I remember when I joined Premier back in 2003, my nickname's been Rookie ever since. Like Jonah still calls me Rook. It's still the Rook.
Nickname is still Rookie.
Yeah. So I don't know if you ever get to kick it, but it'll just become more seasoned over time.
There you go.
I do like that you brought up fishing. It's that time of year.
It is.
I had a really good day the other day.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Walleye?
Crappie.
There you
it was
go.
really fun.
Yeah, it's fun to do that. Yeah, it's the trout fishing is the stuff. I've promised somebody that I'm going to take them up and do a little trout fishing.
Are you using a spinning reel or are you doing a fly?
Do either one of them. Yeah.
Where are you going to go? Are you going to get them on stockers or are you going to put natural fish on them?
Yeah. No.
Stockers?
No, these are not stockers. These are creek. Yeah. And I can use fly or ultralight.
Where are you going?
Either way. Yellow River Forest.
I didn't know you were a fly fisherman.
Yes. I learned it long ago back.
My brother-in-law trout fishes every day.
Really?
He they're up in Decorah.
Yeah.
And his wife's family owns some land up there, so he has access to mostly all private streams, so they don't see anything except my brother-in-law's lure.
That's great. It's so funny because even walking up there, you walk down these rivers and there's like cows within 100 feet of you, and you're just mending a line in a breeze, and it's beautiful. You know what? That's the dream of a lot of people for retirement. For a lot of them is fishing or golfing and doing all sorts of things, camping, maybe getting a fifth wheel trailer and then thinking, how am I going to get a fifth wheel trailer? Because I never did that before, but that's another story. But I guess the deal is that as we retire now, we're living longer than we ever have. I'm 57. I feel like I always say I'm 57 going on 38 just because I feel so much younger now than I did before. And you've got an expected lifespan. But on top of that, you need to start thinking about, as you're retiring and how you're going to be moving into retirement, where to invest your nest egg out there. Let's talk about the 4 questions that retirees should ask themselves about their investment allocations from Premier Investments in Wealth Management. Start off with the first one. Is my current stock bond mix reasonable at my age? I mean, you don't like rules of thumb. How do you determine then, Elias, what the correct stock bond mix is in a portfolio?
So we take people through a planning process to help define a few things. And one is going to be your risk capacity. So how much risk should you be taking to achieve your goals? And we're also going to develop a distribution strategy. So, and what distribution means is, well, I'm going to retire and I'm going to take out just call it a monthly withdrawal from my investment accounts to supplement my income, my other income sources. So what we've also done here at Premier for a long time to help people answer the question of, what should my asset allocation be is we implement for clients what's called the Premier bucket strategy, which it's a way of assigning responsibilities to dollars. And the first one is your liquid bucket, or you can think of it your withdrawal, where your money every month is coming from, and that's going to be your safest investments in your portfolio. And if you think about the reasons why someone would have safer investments in their portfolio for taking monthly withdrawals, just think about all this tariff volatility that we've had. Mm-hmm. Investors, when they know, hey, well, the money I'm spending now is not invested in the market, because the money I'm spending today is in my liquid bucket, not in my growth bucket. I think that brings a lot of confidence to them to know that they can keep living their lifestyle. They can keep getting their monthly ACH deposits, and the market volatility is not impacting those dollars. And then beyond that, the bucket strategy has an income bucket, which is income producing assets, and then a growth bucket as well. But those are good starting places to start to answer, what should my asset allocation be?
When people are looking at their asset allocation, you go through volatile times like we've just done. Does it make sense to have frequent looks at it? Because I know you say, hey, let's not open up our 401k or our IRA every day. How often do you want to look at it for the mix?
Well, if you're nervous, it's okay to open up the financial planning software and validate why you have a particular asset allocation, also known as your risk capacity. Because one thing people don't understand about the financial planning is part of the goal by walking through that process is to figure out what asset allocation provides somebody the optimal outcome in retirement. And then not only that, we want to give them a level of confidence in that portfolio. So when there's chaotic times, they really understand why they have a particular asset allocation versus saying, maybe I should have more bonds or use some archaic way of taking your age minus or 100 minus your age. This is all just made up rule of thumb stuff.
Right.
Last year, we dedicated the year last year to something called personalized advice. And we just tried to debunk all these myths and rules of thumbs that are out there, because, I mean, rules of thumbs are great for an outcome. Mm-hmm. It's just whether you're looking for an optimal outcome. Mm-hmm. So I would say if somebody's nervous, just go to the financial plan and validate why you have an asset allocation. It will help you sleep better at night, because I'll turn it around this way. Doug, if you called me up right now and there's volatility in the market and we done a financial plan, said, Doug, you need 70% stocks, gives you an 85% probability of success. Mm-hmm. And you called me up and said, Roger, I think we should go to all cash. And I plugged into your financial plan all cash. Mm-hmm. And the probability went from 85% to 35%. Would you still want to go to all cash?
Probably not.
Probably not. Because what you're doing is you're using mathematics and science and all of the tools at your disposal to help validate why you're doing something. The challenging part about that process is only 25% of the people out there have actually done a financial plan. So a very small percentage of the population has the ability to go do that. Our customers do for the most part.
Yeah.
So don't use rule of thumb. It's okay to revisit it, but just don't go revisit it at the lows of the market. If you're going to revisit your asset allocation, you should be doing it when the market's high. So I'll use this as an example. We just went through whatever, a 15% drawdown, and then the market raced right back. Not all the way, but it's back a little bit. If you were really, really nervous at the beginning of April and you've got some reprieve in your portfolio, now is the time to reassess your asset allocation and not be greedy. If you were about ready to hit the panic button and your portfolio comes back, that's when you need to reassess what you're doing.
But it hasn't come back all the way.
Well, it doesn't matter. You're being greedy if that's what you're waiting for. Because if you were still that nervous, you need to revisit it. I had an individual who called up the Monday after the 5th biggest 2-day decline in the market. I think we should go to bonds. I didn't convince him. I just gave him the numbers behind why not to do it. Next day, market's up anywhere from 8 to 12%.
Yeah.
I called him the next day. Do you want to do this? No, I don't want to do it now. Now, that said, one of the reasons to go revisit the asset allocation, though, is when you're kind of segmenting personal goals. Okay. You don't have to look at your money all as one big pie. So, a good example, I had this happen the Tuesday the market ran up, or Wednesday, I don't remember what day. I was on the phone at 12 o'clock to the customer. They're taking a cruise. And he's like, hey, we're going to need 10 grand for this cruise, but we don't know if we should put the cruise off because of the market. And they hadn't really planned on it.
Yeah.
And they had, I said $10,000 in the grand scheme of things. It's not a big deal. You have some cash. And I told the client, I said, at the end of the day, and this is at about 11:52 in the morning, I go, at the end of the day, this could all change with the snap of a finger. I called them back 40 minutes later and said, hey, we're going to put at the end of the day, we're going to make sure you have $10,000 of cash for the trip because the market was up 8 to 12%.
Yeah.
Literally, it was like within an hour. He goes, why? Oh, everything okay? I'm like, yeah, market's rallying. We're going to put some cash on the sideline. So that was an individual goal that we changed the asset allocation for a small chunk of the portfolio. We didn't try to squeeze it and make more.
Right.
Just said, hey, look, let's put this in cash. I mean, $10,000.
It's the bucket strategy again.
Yeah, but it was almost like bucket within a bucket, right? Because we had this slivered off goal that we needed to accomplish that they hadn't shared with us.
The bucket within the bucket.
I like that. That's like a double bucket strategy.
But that's one thing to think about. You could change asset allocation with some of your money.
Right.
Based upon your goals. Or let's say you're saving for that lake house or the hunting cabin in West Texas. Stealing your line now. Maybe there's that portion of your portfolio that you're like, hey, this is a 2-year plan.
Yeah.
We need to de-risk this 2 years so we can accomplish this goal within the context of our overall financial plan, which for a lot of people is hard to even think about doing that.
Yeah.
Especially when the market's going up. They're like, but if I left it invested, I might be missing out on 5, 10, 15, 20% returns.
No.
Do you ever feel like your financial goals are just out of reach? It's time to take control of your future with Premier Investments and Wealth Management, your partner in financial independence. Imagine a financial plan that's as individual as you are. At Premier Investments and Wealth Management, our team of experienced advisors will work closely with you to create a roadmap tailored to your dreams. We'll help simplify complex financial concepts, provide clear guidance, and empower you to make informed decisions. Financial wellness is within your grasp. Visit www.premieriwm.com to schedule a meeting with an experienced advisor today.
This is why it's important for you to have a financial strategy and a financial plan by getting in touch with my friends at Premier Investments and Wealth Management. PremierIWM.com is the website. Click Get Started, and from there, just answer a few questions. They'll provide a one-page Premier Vision document. It's a one-page financial plan. It's something that you can use as your roadmap for your financial future. Yeah, inside that is the bucket strategy or even the double bucket strategy within that strategy. But the whole point of it is like 75% of Americans don't have a plan. Do you want to be one of those 75%? Would you rather be 25% who not only say they have a plan, but the 25% in the poll separately that said, I feel comfortable and confident with where I am financially. PremierIWM.com is the website. Make your appointment there online, or you can call 800-383-6590 for Premier Investments in Wealth Management, a Forbes 2025 Best in State Wealth Management Team.
I got a comment, though, about this, too.
Yeah.
Because I had something else that I thought about. I know I'm off track a little bit.
It's all right. It's your show.
A lot of this goes to people need to seek help with this. And here's why I started thinking about it. On April 10th, I was watching Closing Bell, the CNBC show. Mm-hmm. And at 2:20 p.m., I took it down right here, 41 minutes into the show at 2:20 p.m., the host said, what's happening in the market is a tragedy for 529 investors. Because in a 529 plan, if you didn't allocate correctly and your kid's in college, you don't have time for it to come back. Right?
Okay.
Like if your kid's 17 and
right.
you're 100% equity,
right.
The host is blaming the market for the 529 tragedy. Do you know what the tragedy is? Is they're not recommending that they go get help. Mm-hmm. The tragedy with financial planning for people isn't the market going down.
Right.
The tragedy is refusing to get help. And it's been impressed upon us as a society that lowest cost is the best and no cost is the best. No, it's not. That's the tragedy.
Yeah.
Because people can't navigate this on their own. If they did, we wouldn't have people be bailing out when the market's down 15%.
Yeah.
Because they'd have a plan put in place. So, and I just thought about that as we were talking about, how to change an asset allocation. The tragedy is no one's getting help.
Yeah.
And it's so fixable.
We're in we're beginning the second quarter of the 21st century. Wow, it makes me feel old. It's my 40th high school class reunion this year. You think back to the very beginning of the 1900s. I mean, even back, I said that, we were talking about when Abraham Lincoln was assassinated in the 1860s. You start thinking about the age that people lived to back in the early 1900s, the mid-1900s, very young, mid-40s. I mean, the average lifespan was like mid-40s to mid-50s, somewhere there. Everything that has been done since then, people have looked for help from doctors. They've needed help from lawyers. They need help for spiritual reasons. For me, it's just one of those things where you're the same thing financially. People can turn to you because they're not doctors, they're not lawyers. You all are the professionals in this field, and this is something you have continuing education and a lot of experience behind it.
Well, and people are, when you talk about longevity and how people are living, that is one thing we all do know, that people are living longer. Mm-hmm. And, it's funny you bring that up, because recently I've had a few conversations around this idea, and I've had a few people say, well, at my age, I don't have the time to recover a portfolio, and they could be in their early 60s, right? Well, just a couple things, and if there's anyone listening, even if you're thinking about retiring this year, and no one wants to retire in a scary year, right? It's a lot more fun to retire. Hey, the market's going up 20% this year, no volatility. It makes it much easier. But just a couple things. The average bear market is just over 300 days, right, Roger? So
it's 286.
Basically a year. Okay, it's close to 300 days. Longest bear market ever was almost 3 years, 900 and some days. Mm-hmm. So as an investor, to have a kind of an outlook of, oh man, I don't know if I can retire this year and I don't have the time to recover from the stock market decline. Well, are you really going to only live for at most another 3 years? Mm-hmm. I mean, most people that are, unless you're in your mid-80s, like that's what life expectancy is now. So really, if you're 60 years old right now and you retired, you could easily be retired for 25 years and more.
So one of the things to think about too, if you're not going to spend all your money, the time horizon isn't you. It's probably the beneficiaries of your accounts.
Yeah. Legacy.
Let's say you're 80 years old and you're sitting with $3 or $4 million and you spend $50,000 a year. The time horizon of your investment accounts is however long your beneficiaries are going to need it. Mm-hmm. Probably not you. Like there may be some you need for long-term care, but if you had a $4 or $5 million portfolio and you're not spending anything, why are you in protectionism mode? That's where you need to say, hey, this is the money that's going to my legacy. We have the legacy bucket in that bucket plan. Probably don't talk about that enough. Oh yeah, this Exxon stock, whatever stock we've had for ages that I inherited from my grandpa. Mm-hmm. This is going to my grandkids. Okay, well, why would you make a change? It's not for you. And it's where I think we mentioned earlier, having a personal reason could call for a different asset allocation that maybe is outside of your kind of risk capacity or risk tolerance if it's very specific.
Go ahead. You were going to say something.
Oh, I was just going to say in that scenario, that's where the rules of thumbs and the things are dangerous and the stuff we talk about, because, a rule of thumb is going to tell you if you're 80 years old, you should not be a growth investor anymore. But you can make an argument for people at any age, especially if all the majority of their money is being invested for legacy planning and inheritance. Well, why couldn't that person be a growth investor even at that age?
And it's funny because you mentioned this, you talk about how individuals you work with is that they've got plenty of money in their other buckets that they have, that the money that's in that growth, it could disappear and they still would be fine because of everything that they have on the table, because you've helped them create that financial plan that allows them to do that. And it's really remarkable because it's something that it doesn't happen by accident. It's not like my watch just fell into being by itself. It happened because somebody put together a plan to make this watch occur and work. And that's what you do at Premier Investments in Wealth Management, is you put together what can be very complicated plans and make it simplistic, that one-page Premier Vision document that people can actually get started saving. Now, if you're a grandma or grandpa, you're listening or watching, even if you're a mom or dad, talk to your kids, your grandkids, and impress upon them the importance of doing this early, because compound interest is critical. But here's the thing, too, is that it never goes away. I mean, it doesn't matter if you're 35 or if you're 55. Compound interest over time is something that's critical, that you make sure that you recognize and realize.
Yeah, it's, what is it, the fifth wonder of the world? Mm-hmm. Compound interest. I mean, it's amazing. Yeah. We talk about, especially getting started young. Well, if you're leaving inheritance, that's starting your kids or grandkids young. Mm-hmm. We've talked about before, if you put $5,000 into an account for a minor in a Roth IRA, that grows to $1 million because they've got, 50 plus years to let it grow.
Right.
It's the thing people miss out on. And we've talked about before, Elias. We all wish we would have saved more when we were younger. I know you told me, I wish I would have. I bet you wish you would have. We always find excuses why we can't do it.
Right.
And they're just excuses. But the longer you can kind of let your money percolate and save, and if you're behind, just ratchet up a little bit. Get caught up. You can get caught up. What's the number? $1,500 a month for 20 years and you're a millionaire, I think it is.
I think so. Yeah.
I don't remember. Yeah, it's like $1,500 a month. So if you're 45 or younger and you don't have $1 million, it's your own fault.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not out of the realm to do that.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. That's what it is. It's within, if you committed to $1,500 a month, you can invest it. I think you can accumulate $1 million in 20 years. That's a pretty reasonable expectation.
But that's in a growth investment.
Yeah.
Like that's not.
Yeah. We're talking in the market.
In the stock market.
Yeah.
It's amazing. I was talking with a server at a restaurant here recently, and what do you do? And explained what I do, and said one of the things I do is I host a program for Premier Investments in Wealth Management. It's about wealth advisors and creating a financial plan for the future. This person's like 22 years old, and they're like, you know what? That's something I need to know more about, because I'm worried that if I don't start doing something right now, in their early 20s, they were like, if I don't start doing something right now to save for my future, that I won't have enough money to survive on when it's time. I said, give me a piece of paper, wrote out the phone number, here you go, give them a call, because that's the whole point of it, is you find people and talk to them about it, it makes sense to do so because you can help them become their best selves by allowing them to get their financial plan earlier than ever.
Well, and honestly, that's the best time to help somebody. You know, let's be honest. The person who's accumulated $1 million, we can help them. It's really more fine tuning.
Yeah.
We need to help people get to $1 million or $2 or $3 million. And for some of those individuals, it's hard to find a firm that will help them. There are a lot of firms have account minimums.
Yeah.
If you have a firm that has an account minimum, they don't want to help you. They're having an account minimum because they're concerned about their revenue.
Yeah.
We help everybody.
Yeah.
We'll figure out how to service it and put people in place because we can help people all on the journey get to a point where we can help do a bucket strategy. But if you don't get $1 million or $2 or $3 million,
Yeah.
how are you going to do bucket strategy? You can't. But if you send a 20-year-old here, a 25-year-old, we can get them on the right track. Because the most important thing about accomplishing your retirement goals and dreams is savings rate, time in the market.
Yeah.
Like, it's not that hard. Savings rate. It gets more complicated when you start distributing assets, but accumulating assets, it's just the right savings rate.
Yeah.
Now, I'll add one other thing for especially younger investors. I think being opportunistic, which that's one thing recently I've been very proud of a lot of our young investors because the older we've had some concern with retired people and they're calling in concern, but I've had a number of calls from young clients of ours. Hey, I got some extra money. Do you think now's a good time to buy? Because they want to buy the dip and take advantage of the downturn in the market. And really, as long as they're not, and this is, money above and beyond their emergency fund, these are all responsible clients. But what's cool to see is they understand, and it may have been a couple smaller ones. Some people did some bigger amounts, but just taking advantage and being opportunistic, that stuff's going to pay off along the way as well.
That's good. Premier Investments in Wealth Management is willing, ready, and able to help you, your kids, your grandkids, whomever. PremierIWM.com. Head over there, click on Get Started, answer the questions. They'll provide a free, no-obligation consultation and a one-page Premier Vision document for you to take away as well. Asking questions of you. What should you know about your investment allocations in retirement? That's the complicated stuff that they'll be able to take care of for you. 800-383-6590 is a phone number. Get in touch with them, make an appointment with Roger Elias or one of the folks here at Premier Investments in Wealth Management. For Roger and Elias, I'm Doug Wagner. Thank you for tuning in. We'll be back with you again next week.
Securities and advisory services offered through LPL Finance, a registered investment advisor, member FINRA SIPC. The opinions voiced in this show are for general information purposes only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. To determine which investments may be appropriate for you, consult with your attorney, accountant, and financial or tax advisor prior to investing. Premier Investments and Wealth Management and LPL Financial do not provide tax advice. Please consult your tax professional. Economic forecasts set forth may not develop as predicted, and there can be no guarantee that strategies promoted will be successful. There is no assurance that the techniques and strategies discussed are suitable for all investors or will yield positive outcomes. The purchase of certain securities may be required to affect some of the strategies. Investing involves risks, including possible loss of principal. Asset allocation does not ensure a profit or protect against a loss. There's no guarantee that a diversified portfolio will enhance overall returns or outperform a non-diversified portfolio. Diversification does not protect against market risk. All performance referenced is historical and is not a guarantee of future results. All indices are unmanaged and cannot be invested into directly. Wealth Management Team's ranking was developed by Shook Research and is based on in-person, virtual, and telephone due diligence meetings and a ranking algorithm that includes a measure of each team's best practices, client retention, industry experience, review of compliance records, firm nominations, and quantitative criteria, including assets under management and revenue generated for their firms. Investment performance is not a criterion because client objectives and risk tolerances vary, and advisors rarely have audited performance reports. Shook's research and rankings provide opinions intended to help investors choose the right financial advisor and team and are not indicative of future performance or representative of any one client's experience. Past performance is not an indication of future results. Neither Forbes nor Shook Research received compensation in exchange for placement on the ranking. For more information, please see www.shookresearch.com. Shook is a registered trademark of Shook Research, LLC.